Hey Pisces, welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot, and welcome to your cards for May. Let's just start off by talking about the summer of karma, or what is technically the summer of retrogrades, because we are currently stepping into the energy of a lot of retrogrades, meaning the planets are more profound, they're more active, they push us harder, their energy is more stirring, and it tends to make us have to revisit, revise, rework, review things of the past, all sorts of things. So in May, as we just had Pluto go retrograde actually last weekend, in May, Venus goes retrograde. If you caught my pick a card on the Venus retrograde, maybe you're already picking up on that energy. You'll start to experience it already. Venus retrograde won't bring a lot of surprises per se. It's not like a Uranus energy. It's probably going to point out things that you were trying to avoid, if anything else. But then Jupiter goes retrograde and Saturn goes retrograde. And as you see, all of the major players in the game of the entire Saturn-Pluto conjunction that I'm always talking about is going retrograde. And it's checking out what you've learned so far. This could come across as tests, ways to solve problems you couldn't solve before. Remember, Saturn and Pluto came through and they knocked down a whole bunch of walls that we had around ourselves. A whole lot of blocks. And now you get a chance to go back and redo the things you weren't able to do before December, because there were blocks in the way that you were going about it. You're coming out as the energy of the Knight of Discs in May. And I like this energy. If you see, he's got a really good aura coming off of this disc here, which tells me, you know, that you're doing a really good job of protecting yourself and your energy. And I think you're coming off extremely focused, extremely vigilant and determined, and I think that you have luck and support on your side. Now, as determined as you are, the environment is that of the Fool. So you may be starting a new venture in May. You may be asked to step into kind of the unknown, take a leap of faith, learn to trust somebody, learn to trust yourself. I like the Fool card in this deck because he's cloaked in green, which is obviously representing the heart chakra opening. He has a tiger biting at his leg, and it doesn't seem to be bothering him whatsoever. And he's kind of surrounded with circles, as, you know, similar to that of the World card. So it's sort of like saying that everything and all things are possible at this time. And I think, May, you're stepping into real creative power. And then you got number 44 for your Rumi card, which is a pretty significant card. And again, look at all this yellow surrounding them tells me that your intuition, your solar plexus, your drive and ambition is really moving in May. You're extremely motivated. with these Rumi cards, I really like to read them, and this one isn't so long. I might actually read the full thing. I apologize in advance if you find it boring, but it's kind of important to read these words and understand. It could apply to so many different parts of your life, and as a reader, I feel like it's hard to capture in a general reading what it might mean individually for everyone. So sometimes it's best to read you the words that come out, and you can apply it to your own personal life. It's important that you understand the message and you can apply it to your wisdom and your spiritual perspective. There's a reason these cards come out. There's a reassurance, there's answered prayers, so it's important that you hear them. This oracle brings you a message. There is a shift taking place now in a matter of great importance to you. From Jalal to Jamal, from justice to mercy. This is your path, your destiny, and your blessing, now opening up before you. It may be a particular matter, however, it likely includes your entire life orientation. You are being granted refuge, respite, and shelter from the storms of struggle and doubt, and being given a divine sanctuary of safe harbor. You shall find that the unraveling of the struggle and pain now happens through tenderness and a gentler approach. You are also being asked to take stock of your own thoughts and attitudes. Having to be tough and play hardball in the past has served its purpose. Yet this oracle comes to you with guidance to become softer in your way and your attitude. Can you gently but firmly place to one side the judge within, the one who keeps score and demands retribution, an eye for an eye, the exponent of absolute justice? Can you invite instead the one who gentles the aggressive lord within that and allows him to bow before the great lady who loves, is wise, and who steadies the workings of the world with the softest of touches? Don't fear that if you suddenly give yourself a break, all your discipline, hardness, toughness, and suffering will go to waste. No, all things provide learning and serve divine purpose. But now there is no reason to continue in that way. It is time to learn another way. You are strong enough now to become gentle. If there is a foe or fight in your life, ask for the Mother of Mercy to bless it into resolution. You are being told now that you can stand your ground and remain in your strength without having to become aggressive or hard. You have more power than you realize, and it is in your being. It is not in your ability to control others or manipulate situations, for such actions are unworthy of being of your magnitude and are unnecessary for your success. You are also being given the message that your prayers are powerful. Although action in the world is part of your soul purpose and plan, when you pray, you have conviction that your prayers are real, and they are heard and are responded to by the great universal heart. So pray carefully and thoughtfully. Be present and speak as if you were speaking to your dearest, oldest, and most influential and powerful friend. Because, of course, that is exactly what you are doing. Pray from the heart and trust in the power of your prayers. There is no limit to what you can pray about, nothing too unspiritual or unworthy. Nothing. So pray. This oracle brings you the message that the great power of compassion is reaching for you, that it wants to help you, but it's waiting for you to ask. So ask, and then you shall receive. I find I needed to read that whole thing to you because there was so many coincidences coming from that card that were so profound in this reading. As it talked about compassion reaching for you, and your need to reach for compassion as well, your need to have faith and ask for help in situations. And I look to this card and I see the Knight of Discs with a shield, which is shielding him from this beautiful energy. And then the environment of the Fool, where he is quite literally reaching, cloaked in that green heart chakra, and literally reaching as if asking and having faith and believing that what he asks for can come to him. So in a way, I like the Knight of Discs because I think he's doing a good job of protecting his energy. But at the same time, you're being asked to have a softer touch, to maybe relinquish the shield and allow others to affect you, to come into your life, just to allow. Let's get into the week by week a little bit. The first week you're coming out with the Empress and the Justice card. So the Empress is a very creative state. It is an energy of fertility, of course. If you are struggling to have a child, it may happen. There may be news of a conception in the first week. If there's a creative project you've been trying to get off the ground, that as well. Even if there is a relationship or something that you want, if there's financial strains and you're working to create a different stream of income, probably based on some sort of a creative idea, then that is a win as well. I get a sense that whatever you've been working on or devoting your energy to in the first week of May, you start to see signs of a payback. It may not be huge at first. Challenge card is your Four of Cups. So remember, you're coming out as a Knight of Discs. So things are moving slow, but they're moving slow on purpose. The trick is to not get complacent, to not take the little wins for granted, because the little wins build upon each other. They build upon the momentum, and most importantly, little wins over time start to help you gain your confidence, creating a steady foot in which to take the next step. Moving into the second week, you have the Ten of Swords and the Eight of Pentacles. Something definitely comes to an end in and around the second week of May. I don't see heartbreak or struggle in this reading at all. And in fact, for the second week, your challenge card is the Nine of Swords. So something, I think, is coming to an end that opens you up to a new flow, new money. There's a blockage that's removed. Maybe you're going back to work. Maybe the social distancing, the inability to work or leave the house, maybe that's coming to an end and you're allowed to go back and make money. Whatever it is, it picks back up. In the second week, money will improve, your flow will improve, your energy will improve. You'll see productivity. You'll see creation in the 3D. Things are taking place. But the challenge card, the Knight of Swords, is as whatever it is that's coming to an ending, don't get stuck in the energy. This is really important around the second week, that you kind of go back to what we just discussed. There may be areas of your life in which you want to ask for help, and by all means ask, because this is a complete and utter waste of energy. It's a waste of energy because if you look, the way that these cards are laid out. Empress, 10 of Swords, Ace of Swords. Whatever is coming to an end, I feel like it's blocking you creatively. It's blocking what you want and need to come in. And once that is released, boom, there's a new beginning, a new truth, a new clarity in the situation. Do not be afraid of releasing at this time, everybody. It is so important to understand we're in such karmic energy. There's kind of no stopping things now. Any energy that's used trying to stop the freight train from coming is futile, and it's exhausting. And it only makes it harder for you to begin anew. So resistance really isn't where it's at this month. You're being asked to go as a fool. You're being asked to surrender in faith. Third week, Ace of Swords, 3 of Wands. Challenge card is the Queen of Swords. Okay, this is where that gentler approach takes place. This is where that advice gets so critical. The prayers in the first half of May are really important. Open yourself up and have faith. Because in the second half of May, when the retrogrades start happening, when the nodes move from the Capricorn Cancer axis into the Gemini Sag axis, immediately we gain perspective. Mercury, I'm sorry, I don't know why I can't talk right now. Again, Mercury moves into Gemini as well, and there's a steady stream of information and ideas and visions, and Ace of Swords is bringing you truth and clarity, which leads you to a whole new set of manifesting, a whole new idea of what you want to come in. And you're in a waiting energy in that third week. I feel as though you're waiting for somebody to come around. You're waiting for a situation or... I want to clarify. Okay, I'm going to finish the weeks before I clarify. But the Queen of Swords in the challenge position, when you are getting messages about taking a gentler approach, you know, the Queen of Swords can quite simply swipe people out of her life. Very little remorse or forethought. You know, she just cuts people out. She has a vision and she knows how to get there. But there's different plans for you. Sometimes that energy is good, but Pisces, I think you need to go back to being a Pisces, taking on this Gemini energy, just like I talked to. Venus retrograde in Gemini, Mercury moving into Gemini, the nodes moving into Gemini. You may be taking this Gemini energy a little too far. I just heard, don't be so defensive. You know, whatever comes out in this third week, I feel like it's what's leading you, or it's what's getting you on your path to what you have been manifesting for a long time. Okay, Ace of Swords clarified by the Five of Swords in reverse. A lot of mental energy here, a lot of inner conflict, and I think you release that inner conflict in the second week, leading you to clarity and focus coming into the second half of the month. And this Three of Wands talks to me about waiting for a specific thing to come in, clearing up the Seven of Cups energy of confusion. You know, I think going into May, you weren't quite sure what you wanted out of a situation. You may have been feeling restless. You may have been feeling bored. You know, that Four of Cups coming out in the first week as a challenge card. And I warn you, when Venus is retrograde, crazy things are going to happen. Exes will come back. We'll start to think about our past. We may reach out to others. It kind of really promises to take us for a ride a little bit. And there is an element of confusion. You know, Venus is making a square to Neptune, which could mean that new things that we're bringing into our life now could have a sense of idealism. So you want to kind of tread lightly if you're starting new relationships. There might be trust issues. Maybe you're not seeing things clearly. But it looks like towards the second half of May, you may be one of those lucky signs that might be moving into a period of clarity as opposed to a period of confusion. Neptune can sometimes bring you both. It can bring you clarity. It could kind of burst the bubble, so to speak, and shatter illusions that we may have had in regards to other people or situations. Sometimes it could bring those illusions in. So I'm sensing that there's a different energy here, and I feel like you're getting clarity and focus, which is awesome because you could be so much more productive. And that's exactly what happens. Because rolling into that fourth week there, you have the Magician. And it ends up with a Page of Wands, which tells me that, you know, you're kind of open for anything at this point in your life. Wait a second, why is this? Okay. This actually came out too. This whole situation. I think I'm going to dive deeper into this. I think this is starting to reflect a little bit of what's going on down here, which we'll talk about in a moment. But yeah, in the second half of May, there's clarity, there's focus. You may have had your energy kind of moving in a lot of different directions, a little bit of scattered. You didn't know what you wanted. There's a lot of confusion, and I think the Three of Wands talks about maybe waiting for communication or waiting for somebody else to take action. And the Queen of Swords in your challenge position might mean that you start to take action first. And if that is the case, if you do begin to start to initiate conversations or confronting people, the Queen of Swords just wants you to know that you should use compassion. Don't stay so much in this logical part of your brain. It's not so black and white. You know, if this is talking about, for instance, children, if you're struggling with a child, trying to get them through school or something in the month of May, closing out, you know, things are hard. These kids are now all of a sudden having to learn at home. I mean, I think as adults, we all can admit that working from home, it's tempting to get distracted and do the other things. And so now as a society, we're relying on teenagers to be responsible. And most likely, you know, as adults, we're struggling with it. There could be some issues coming to light around that. And it's like a final push, but it's asking you to look at life from their perspective. If you do get stuck in the energies in this final row, Four of Cups, complacency, taking things for granted, not seeing opportunities that are being handed to you, staying trapped in anxiety, worrying, which is a waste of time. Worrying is the opposite of faith, right? It is so much better to do a meditation and to ask and to pray. It is so much more productive than to worry and think of worst case scenarios and allow that fear to grow. Remember, Pluto is retrograde, so what we do, we tend to really obsess over at times. It's real easy to get into an obsessive thought process when Pluto is retrograde. So you could really hone in on the negative and create more negative things in the long run. Queen of Swords as well, and I'm letting everyone know, Queen of Swords and the Five of Cups right next to each other. You know, Venus is retrograde. Relationships can get a little crazy. But I think it's so important now to not necessarily rely on abrupt decisions. You might feel as though I can't take anymore. That's it, I'm ending things. You may suddenly be in an energy of like ghosting people or running away from situations. Now's just not a really good time. If you're in a long-term relationship or a commitment and all of a sudden you just start feeling a little restless, you want to explore your options, take some perspective, because sometimes in this Gemini energy, you know, the curiosity gets the cat and you make mistakes. And then the next karmic cycle that you're entering gets to look like this instead of this. I just feel like May is more or less, it's more important to start knowing what you want, envisioning it, doing the vision boards. It's really not about making the big plans or making the big waves. You know, the energy is going to kind of guide us. And when this is all said and done and we move into June, we start moving into eclipse season, and that's when the real action takes place. So it's really important to get in your mind space, to clean up the stuff that holds you back, clean up the negative thought processes. Just be in the clean up mode. That's the best use of a retrograde energy, is the productivity. Center of the reading, 8 of Pentacles, 3 of Wands. May means putting your head down, doing the work. Putting your head down, doing the work. Addressing the details and waiting for the good stuff to come in. Just imagine everything is a giant karmic rubber band. When you greet situations and issues with compassion and grace, that is exactly what you will get in return. If you believe that the universe is beautiful and giving and it has your back, it will. If you believe that you are here to experience nothing more than pain and sorrow, then that is exactly what you will experience. Not just through May, but probably the next 38 or so years. Okay, reading's getting really long. I'm trying to keep these a little bit shorter. But I did pull a couple other cards just to get us through. Oh, by the way, your oracle card, beyond is infinite in all directions. I mean, can I just, there's just not enough irony to go around. Infinite in all directions. The universe wants to bring you exactly whatever it is you ask for. And all you have to do is ask. And you need to think big. And you need to think bright and positive. When I say all directions, I really mean all directions. It's whatever you want. It's whatever you believe in. So because Venus is going retrograde and the moon nodes, meaning there's a major shift in our emotions, you know, those move this month. I also wanted to pick some cards that better represented love and sexual relationships, to see kind of a quick energy of what my Pisces are going through this month. I don't like to show these cards up close because they're kind of graphic and illicit. So I won't do that, but I just want you to know we pulled the Three of Pentacles, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Knave of Swords, which is sort of like a Page of Swords. There may be periods in May of sort of an ebb and flow. And that's kind of what Venus wants you to do right now. There's an element of safety and security in a relationship, and that you love. This person is your safe harbor. They are your safety, your comfort. You can be vulnerable. But there's also a sense of, even though this is really good and emotionally fulfilling and safe, does it interest me? Will it keep my attention? Will I want to stay with this for a long time? Might be commitment issues, and this card as well talks about a gentle approach. And the Page of Swords is kind of the getting to know each other, the communication. So you might see a bit of a rebirth in your relationships. If you're in a relationship and May comes along and you're feeling like you want to get experimental, please do so. Feel free. Explore. Do different things. Definitely ignite and excite each other. Also, on a lighter note, you know, those lighter conversations, that fun banter, texting funny things or sexy pictures, you know, approaching relationships with a lightness. Even, I get a sense, Pisces, that because it feels so safe to you, that it also has an element of feeling boring. And, you know, you need to take a look at that, a second look at that. That Three of Pentacles comes right out underneath the Four of Cups and the Nine of Swords. There's stress around the comfort in this relationship. Maybe all of a sudden you feel like your partner is slipping away. You feel like he's not so, or she's not so connected to you or attentive. You start to feel there's a bit of instability in the relationship. What you don't want to do is immediately start to jump to conclusions, demand answers, treat this person as though they're a child. You know, those are the kind of activities that are going to make for an abrupt ending and regret. instead get creative. Speak your truth. Express yourself. A lot of times in relationships, we always put so much on the other person that we don't look at what we're doing. And a lot of times our partners are just simply mirroring what we feel inside already. So honestly, 95% of issues in a relationship is just your own shit. So keep that in mind and know that we're just going through a bit of a turbulent period, and this is such a good time to reconnect with partners in a light way, in an airy way, in a fun way, to be creative with each other and to be gentle and to realize that we're all growing. And if somebody isn't satisfied with the situation, there's always ways to fix it. Beyond is infinite in all directions. Nothing is unsolvable. All you have to do is ask. That's a pretty cool message. All right, Pisces, I really enjoyed this reading. It was really cool. I'll be checking in again next Monday with some kind of a weekly. Mid-months will be coming up, and then, oh my goodness, it's gonna be summer. Yay! All right, take care of yourselves. I wish you the very best. Bye.